Do you demand excellence from others when you walk into the room? Excellence for yourself when in anything and everything that you do? Or have you ever been in a space where someone's presence immediately changes the way that you approach the work, the environment, the people that you are with, hopefully for the positive? You know, I was just watching Emmanuel Achos on social media. He was talking about how Deion Sanders, the coach of the University of Colorado football team, and how the way that Deion presents himself in any space immediately elevates other people that are around him.
Deion showed up, and all of a sudden I sat up straight and I said, you know what? It's time for me to start hosting, because it's time for me to be excellent.
He was in a space, he was kind of chilling, nonchalant, hanging out. Then once Deion stepped in, he immediately changed his demeanor to try to match the bravado and the excellence that Deion Sanders was exuding from just even being there. And I've heard that similar type of effect with Tom Brady. When Tom Brady moved from the Patriots to Tampa Bay Buccaneers, immediately raised the level of IQ, effort, confidence with the other players because they had literally the GOAT in the room, right? I've heard similar things about Michael Jordan. I've heard similar things about Kobe Bryant. You know, I've heard similar things about LeBron James and just these athletes who already have a level of demeanor and perspective of demanding excellence for themselves and do not expect anything less for their players or the team or the people that surround them. And it kind of like is one of those exciting things to think about, to be around the presence of excellence, because it helps raise your ability to be excellent. But then it gets you thinking, what does it take for you to be that person that provides that level of excellence for other people to raise their game? Like, are you giving the effort necessary and demanding that for yourself? So when you walk into the space, other people say, oh, I got to keep up with them because I know they're going to bring it. And I know they're going to demand me to bring it. And I don't want to look like no fool. So I better either do the exact same or go above and beyond, so that way I could just even be at that level with that caliber of a person. How amazing is that for a culture, for a community, if there were so many people with that same level of perspective? So if you take the sports mentality and the framework out of that, you walk into a classroom, you walk into your team or your organization, you walk into your house, and immediately when you walk into your house or you walk into that space, that environment, the demeanor changes, and it changes for the better just because you stepped into it. And that's the type of power that you have. And that's something that I really try to articulate, educate, communicate to leaders in, conversations and workshops and coaching and things of that nature, is that your presence changes and shapes the culture of the environment. And if we're not intentional and careful about the way that we show up, we can easily sway the environment to become less than or to deteriorate because we're not being intentional about how we want the environment to be. And if we want excellence, if we want confidence, if we want a space where we are excelling at a high level and executing at a high level, then that is something that we have to model first and model the way to execute that before we demand that and put that on the wall, right? As excellence is the key to success or whatever, right? Like whatever cliche phrase that you got out there. If you're not following it, if you don't have the pedigree to show that, then it's just false words. And I think I truly believe that, like, that's why Coach Prime is the man out here, right? And we're loving the journey because he truly is raising a program that when, I don't know, losing record like we're 1 and whatever last year or something like that, to already being 2-0 at the beginning of the season, bringing athletes in, elevating the people that are already there, transforming the campus through just him being being himself, which I imagine, and I'm sure we're going to get a lot of documentaries about Coach Prime in the next couple of years, especially about his backstory. But I imagine that it was as Kobe stated one time, a social contract that he gave with himself, right? Of, if I am going to do this, if I want to be the best, and I'm going to let my game speak, And well, Coach Prime, he speaks too. It's his game and his attitude that speaks, but both of them match, right? There is no skew in the two. And something that I am processing for myself is, how do I ensure that I am playing at game-like speed, that I am executing at a high level, that I am practicing excellence in everything that I do? And if I'm saying, yo, I want to be this type of speaker, I want to be this type of communicator, this culture change agent within my community, I need to make sure that I'm well read. I need to make sure that I communicate effectively. I need to make sure that my environment is set up in a way that I am succeeding and excelling with what I said I'm going to do. And then that will hopefully impact the spaces that I'm a part of and change the culture and change the environment just through my actions. And then through how I'm showing up and the attitude and the perspective and mindset that I have, hope is that it elevates the people who are within that space to also want to succeed and excel in the same way. So I want you all to process that for yourself. One, who is that around you that you have experienced that level of demeanor before, right? Where when they step into the room, that you immediately feel the presence of the room rise to a high level, right? Who is that person? Have you experienced that before? And where have you seen that active in your life? And then secondly, what would it look like for you to be that person to elevate and change the game by you showing up and you doing what you're supposed to be doing and excelling and succeeding, being excellent at a very high level? And what will happen then if all the folks who are excellent get in the room and say, yo, by our powers combined, Captain Planet, we are going to change our culture. We're going to change our environment. We're going to utilize our powers, utilize our strengths, utilize our experiences. We're going to utilize our networks. We're going to step into this space and literally just, I'm using a lot of analogies, but be the Avengers, right? And shift the culture in a way that transforms our communities. And how powerful would that be if that was to happen everywhere we go? So that's just me thinking out loud. I would love to hear your thoughts on those things. Get at me at Ray Devontae on all social media platforms. Just gets me hyped to watch more Coach Prime, to watch more athletes and more people who are excellent in their fields, and get to study what makes them excellent. And not only just them as an individual, but how they're transforming the world around them as well. Because that is the concepts and principles that we can embody for ourselves to execute within the spaces that we are currently being called to lead.